Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So I'm very excited because I got the brand new Mothership. This is Mothership 11 from Pat McGrath. I know this one was a little, I guess, controversial, but I was always going to buy it. So I have finally gotten my hands on it and we're going to take a look at it today. So before we do anything, let me just go ahead and read what it says on the website. Mothership 11, Sunlit Seduction tempts you to venture into new realms of makeup artistry with its solar-infused spectrum of seductive shades and versatile finishes, from the gentle allure of floral, mattes, and blush tone pinks to the captivating essence of burgundy orchids. This palette caters to the look that range from casually chic to sensually subversive. And then there's a couple other things. Okay, so I did go ahead and show the packaging. Now I have talked about this before. I am one that I don't keep the outer packaging. I know most people do. I just don't. I don't need to keep this. I don't need clutter in my house, but it is a beautiful packaging. I think it's very similar to the other ones. And then we'll take a look. I have already opened this. I wanted to make sure that none of the shades were broken, and it's got the beautiful black lacquer as always. And here are the shades. So there are the shades, and when this was first released, pretty much everybody was upset, except for me. I won't say I was not disappointed, but I was like, it's pretty, I'm gonna pick it up. If it had been very colorful, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, just because I don't really like colorful, palettes. I actually have all the Motherships. I have 1, 2, and 3, and those are probably my least used palettes just because they're just really colorful. So when I go to use them, like, this is something I can pick up and use very, very easily. So I love Divine Rose. I guess it's bronze. I forgot the bronze one, the 5. I love that one. Divine Rose 2, I'll wear, but I don't wear as often because it's a little bit more colorful. I know a lot of people do like it. So, I think this is a very mainstream palette. And at the end of the day, Pat McGrath isn't an independent brand. It isn't an indie brand. It is a mainstream makeup brand. They're in Sephora, they're in Ulta now. So they need palettes that are gonna sell. And honestly, I think this one may not do well with the makeup community on social media, but I think when someone walks into Sephora or Ulta and sees this is something that they're going to grab. So I didn't hesitate. I think it's gorgeous. I will be doing comparisons to the other palettes and swatches and everything later on. So that'll be at the end of the video. I will always put timestamps below, but I did want to just kind of delve into it. But for me, I was always going to pick it up. I think it's gorgeous, but I will say, if you are trying to budget and you have some of the other ones, there probably are some duplicate shades. I haven't compared them yet, but I plan to in this video. Okay, so next up we're gonna swatch these shades, and these are, I'm gonna swatch the first 6, and then I'll go in with the Bliss Astrals because I think that's just probably better. So I'm gonna swatch these 6 first, and then I'm gonna go in with the special shades. So if you're unfamiliar with Pat McGrath, the Mothership palettes are kind of like her signature palette, and these shades are usually like the typical mattes, shimmers, metallics, satin, etc. But then the 4 shades are her Bliss Astral special shades, special formula. So these tend to only be on these palettes, or she'll have sometimes a quad, but these, shades aren't usually like in her 6 pans or anything like that. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So let's go ahead and swatch this. Okay, so starting with the top row, this is going to be Skin Tense Radiance. This is Nude Rose, and this is Hypnotic Bronze. Now on the bottom row, we have Extreme Vermilion Dusk, Copper Dawn, and Sienna Mystique. So those are the 6 shades. I think they're gorgeous. I think they're really pretty. These are totally up my alley. This is something that I totally love. However, I do see why some people might be disappointed. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the special shade. So this is the top row. This is going to be Astral Pink Fetish. Oh, that's gorgeous. This is Blitz Crimson Ecstasy. And on the bottom we have Astral Amethyst Allure. And then finally we have Astral Gilded Aura. So again, I think this is absolutely stunning, but it is a rose palette. I mean, so if you don't like rose, this is something that you're just not gonna like. But I do, I love it. Do I have this? Probably. But obviously I don't have the Bliss Astral shades, and you know, these palettes, the quality is always good. So I am anxious to dig in. Okay, so I thought I was filming and I wasn't. So I went in with Nude Rose for the transition shade. I did it on this eye, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it on this eye as well. But you can see putting only just a little bit and putting it on, and it is going on a lot, but it is blending out really, really nicely and really smoothly. That's one of the reasons why not that I don't mind spending the money on this palette, it's just because this palette is something, and her palettes in general, I can, especially the Motherships. The other ones, especially the 6 pans, are hit and miss, but I find like the quality in the Motherships are so good that even when you put a little too much, you can blend it out and work with it. Okay, so that is Nude Rose, and I'm gonna say it is pinker than I thought. Not in a bad way, it's just I thought it was more mauve-y, and I don't know, it feels like it's definitely more pigmented than I anticipated for a transition shade. So this palette just seems to be it seems very pale and very basic, but it definitely is a little bit deeper. I feel like it's a little bit deeper than Divine Rose. So I'll be doing, you know, swatches and comparisons later on, but that's kind of my first impression, is that this one is kind of a little bit more cool tone and has some, you know, deeper. I could be completely wrong. That's just my first impression. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in with the Vermilion. It's this Extreme Vermilion Dusk, and I am going to just put this on my Sonia G Crease Pro. This is like my favorite brush for the crease, and I'm just gonna go on the outer edge, and then, whoops, I'm gonna go on the outer edge here, and then strengthen, you know, put it in the crease as well. Okay, so I finished with the deeper shade, and that's pretty much how I always do my makeup. Do those 2 shades, and then I go in with a shimmer. This time I'm actually gonna go in with, I'm gonna try and use at least 3 of the special shades. Not, probably not the deeper one, but I'm gonna use the other 3. So I'm gonna go in with the Astral Amethyst Allure, and I'm gonna go on that with the outer half of the eye. And then I'm gonna go in with the top one, which is the Astral Pink Fetish, and I'm going to go in the inner corner, so, or the inner half. So let me just put this on and see, and it doesn't seem to have a lot of fallout. I'm surprised. To be honest, I was expecting quite a bit of fallout, so I'm gonna put it on that side. And this is just gorgeous. That's what this is why you buy this palette, is because of these shades. They're just so gorgeous. So it is really, really pretty. Okay, so that is the eye with the one astral shade, which is the Astral Amethyst Allure. Gorgeous, you know, I guess amethyst, lavender shade, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna take the other side of the brush, and I'm gonna go in with the pink astral shade and put it on. And this one looks like it's gonna be messy. This is one that I think probably needs some sort of glitter glue, but I'm gonna go in without it and see. I'm not going anywhere tonight, and just gonna put it on. Okay, that went on gorgeous. So you can kind of see, so I just did the 2 shades, and usually I don't do that. Usually I just put like 1 shimmer, but I wanted to use both. And now I'm gonna go in with the Astral Gilded Aura, and I'm going to do that on the brow bone and see how that looks. Just absolutely stunning. Probably a little more sparkly than I would put on the brow bone, but it's still gorgeous. And again, not going anywhere tonight, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Let's put a little bit on the inside just to make it fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go in on the lower lash line with this Hypnotic Bronze, just to use a different shade than the other ones. And I haven't put any sort of liner, but I'm just gonna go in and put that on the lower lash line, kind of as a liner. Okay, so that is it. Put it under lower lash line. I am going to go put on mascara and come back. Okay, so I am back, and I can tell you right now, I love the palette. Always thought I was gonna love the palette. I wouldn't have purchased it if I didn't think I was going to love the palette. It's absolutely stunning. However, it is very similar to at least 4 of her other palettes, or at least 3. And I'm gonna do a side-by-side comparison, and then I'm gonna do swatch comparisons. Probably gonna film that tomorrow, just because it's late, but I wanna do some kind of side-by-side comparisons, and as well as 3 other palettes that are a lot less expensive, and may give you similar color stories. Obviously, you're not going to get those special shades, but you might get similar color stories. So I'm going to swatch those as well, side by side. But first I wanted to show kind of what they look like, you know. So obviously here is Sunlit Seduction. Now I don't know where the sunlit comes from. I mean, is the sunlit, I guess it's that, I don't know. It's rosy. I would have, if I hear sunlit, I would have thought more warmer tone. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of confused about. So this is Utopian Dream. This is number 9. And this one is definitely more colorful. This is one of my favorites. And then we have Sunlit Seduction. So again, the 6 shades I think are very similar, but the 4 Bliss Astral shades are going to be very different. So I'll do some swatches of those later on. Next up, we're gonna do Divine Rose 2. So here's Divine Rose 2. This one I think is probably the least like it, but I just wanted to kind of do a side by side. So this one is definitely a lot brighter. I'm probably not even gonna swatch this one because I just don't think it's similar enough, but I did want to do a side by side because they are both, you know, kind of rosy palettes. And of course we have Divine Rose Original. This is Divine Rose 1, number 7. So this one, I hadn't used this one in a while, and I forgot how cool tone it is. So that is the comparison, the side by side. I will definitely be doing a side by side swatch comparison of the 2 of these palettes, just so you can see the swatches. And then finally, this is the most recent one before. This is number 10. This is Moonlit Seduction. So I guess you could have predicted Sunlit Seduction, the name. So this one is similar, but I think different enough. This one is definitely not as rosy. I'll do a side-by-side swatch comparison of this one as well, but I think the 2 similar ones are going to be Utopian Dream, at least the 6 shades, and Divine Rose, the original. Now I did want to do some side-by-side comparisons of some other palettes as well. So the first one I thought about initially was Retro. So here is Retro, and from Natasha Denona, and then this is Sunlit Seduction. So I will do a swatch comparison. I don't know how similar they are, but we'll see. We'll see how close they are when I do the swatches. Next up, we have New Mod. So this is going to be definitely a less, or you know, a cheaper alternative to this one. You're not going to get the special shades, but I love the Sigma formula. It's great. I do have an affiliate link with them now, an affiliate code, which is just Shannon, so you can save. Think it's 10%. I'm not sure, but you can save money. But I'll do a swatch comparison. Then this is going to give you actually 2 extra shades, but again, you're not going to get those extra special shades. And the last one, as far as cheaper alternatives, is going to be the Sigma Corderosa, and here you have it. Now this one's not going to be as similar, I don't think, but it is a rosy, obviously Corderosa. It's going to be very similar as far as the name, so I figured I might as well swatch it and see how similar it is. This is a very popular palette. It's been around for a while. You can get it on sale. I think it runs around $50 when it's not, you know, when it's full price, but Sigma's had some great like 40%, 50% sales, so you can get it for, you know, $25, $30. So it's definitely not $128. So I think I'm gonna do some swatches of those now to kind of compare, and then I'll come back. Okay, so here are the swatches again for Mothership 11 Sunlit Seduction. Okay, and here's a side-by-side comparison with Sunlit Seduction and
Divine Rose Mothership XI. I did change the order of the Divine Rose Bliss Astrals because just to kind of line up the ones that were more similar. And as you can see, Divine Rose is definitely more cool tone. I also think the special shades in Divine Rose are just a little more special. Okay, here is Sunlit Seduction compared to Utopian Dream. The matte shades I think are very similar, except that Utopian Dream is a little brighter. And Sunlit Seduction is a little bit more subdued. I also love the special shades in this palette. This is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Mothership palette. And yeah, it's just, I think Sunlit Seduction is like the subdued version of Utopian Dream. Okay, so now we have Sunlit Seduction with Moonlit Seduction on the bottom. And I think these are very different. I mean, I wouldn't say very different. These are different enough. Definitely the Bliss Astral shades. I love this palette. I know a lot of people were disappointed with it. I absolutely love it. The mattes are different. I think the only one that's very similar are the second shade, which is like the transition shade, and maybe the first shade, but everything else, and then maybe that last special shades are both kind of gold. But other than that, I think you're going to get different looks with these two. But I always loved Moonlit Seduction. I never really understand the disappointment. Okay, here is Sunlit Seduction with some shades that are similar in Natasha Denona My Dream palette. I actually thought it was going to be more closely related, but not really. My Dream actually just has more diversity. So, and you're not going to get those special shades like you do in the Sunlit. And here is a comparison with the Natasha Denona Retro palette. Again, I tried to match the shades, so not as similar as I thought it was going to be. It's actually quite different. Okay, here is Sunlit Seduction with some of the comparable shades in Corderosa from Sigma Beauty. Obviously, this is a much more affordable palette, and also you're going to get a lot of diversity in here. I will say the mattes aren't nearly as creamy, but I think the Sigma formula is fantastic. I do have a promo code Shannon, but I think this is a beautiful palette and I love it, but very, very similar color story. You're not going to get those shimmers or special shades like you do in Pat McGrath, but the ones in here are, I would say, they're good, not great like there have been in other palettes. And this, I think, is the best alternative option if you are on a budget. And this is actually Sigma Beauty New Mod. So you can see the special shades are kind of the same. And yes, the Pat McGrath have a little bit more sparkle, but not that much. You're going to get 4 more shades in the new mod. Very similar shades, so I think it's a great alternative. Or if you have this, I think the only one that's different that you really aren't going to get like a dupe for is the 5th and 6th shade, but that's it. So I think this is a really great alternative.
Okay, so final thoughts are, I love it. I knew I was going to love it. I love the Motherships. I no longer buy her 6 pans. The 6 pans I don't buy. I had a couple of the, just, for the price that they are, they were never as good as these. And they're, about half the price. So you do get 6 shades, but you don't get those special shades. And the quality, even of the mattes and stuff, was hit and miss sometimes. So I just stopped buying them. I decluttered everything and I stopped buying them. I do sometimes buy a quad. I have bought the last couple of quads and they've been fantastic. But they're a quad. You're going to get pretty much the same look. And then I have been buying some of the 5 pans, which I have really enjoyed. They're, but they're, less expensive. I think they run about $35. So still expensive for 5 shades, but I think they've been really good and they're limited edition. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a declutter soon, if I'll be keeping them. They've been fun. They're great for travel. These are not great for travel, but anyway, that's kind of, but as far as the Motherships, I love them. I think they're great. And I am not disappointed with this palette. I'm not disappointed at all. If it had been very colorful, I don't think it would have been very marketable. I think it would have been very popular on YouTube. I think a lot of, very popular on social media. But the average consumer like me, to spend $128 on something that's really colorful, it's probably not going to happen. So I think that's what they're doing. They're thinking as a business, and I'm fine with it because, you know, this is one I'm going to be definitely wearing a lot. So I love it. So should you get it? Depends on what you want. I would say my best advice for you is to wait for a sale. She's going to have a sale. There's 30%, you know, save 30%. Or if you want to buy two, they usually do a duo. Save the money, do it when it's when there's a sale. That's the way to purchase, you know, Pat McGrath. You don't have to spend $128 anymore because she's going to have a sale. Or use your Ulta points because she's now available at Ulta. So that's it. I will update you in a speed reviews later on about this palette, but no surprise, I love it. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.